What if Zoro wasn't raised by 𝙲𝚙𝚎𝚑𝚡 but by Kaido instead? How would it change the entire story of One Piece? What would Zoro's relationship with Luffy, Kuina and Mihawk be like? Let's find out in this alternative timeline. This story begins as in the original timeline in 𝚲𝚙𝚎𝚑𝚝 village in the East Blue. A young baby Zoro lives there in peace. However, this peace is shattered by an attack from the Beast Pirates. Kurozumi Orochi, the shogun of Wano, has become paranoid and confronted Kaido with the idea that the inhabitants of this village might someday launch an attack on Wano. Through a reliable source, Orochi learned that the descendants of the 𝚲𝚙𝚎 clan from Wano reside in this peaceful village in the East Blue. Annoyed by Orochi, Kaido sends King to the village to eliminate the problem and calm the shogun. King kills all the men in this village. Shimotsuki Kushiro, Kuino's father, and Shimotsuki Kozaburo, the founder of the village, die in battle against King. The women are spared as King does not believe they could become strong sword fighters. Zoro's father, Roronoa Arashi, dies trying to protect his son. Arashi begs for his son's life, asking that Zoro at least be spared. King grants Arashi this wish. However, Zoro does not grow up in the now nearly destroyed Shimotsuki village, but is taken to Onigashima with King and his crew. King also seizes Koshiro's ale room. He steals the 𝙲𝚘𝚙𝚎𝚛𝚒. Thus begins Zoro's story in the Beast Pirates. One might wonder if someday one of the women from Shimotsuki village will exact her revenge on the Beast Pirates. Maybe, if that girl doesn't end up falling down the stairs. Zoro's childhood in the Beast Pirates is even harsher than in the original timeline. In the original timeline, Zoro undergoes an extremely tough training regime, and of course that is not missing in this timeline either. Here, daily training includes not only intense workouts, but also violence at the hands of Kaido, King and Queen. Day by day he grows stronger and learns to wield 3 swords. King has given Zoro the 𝙲𝚘𝚎𝚘𝚎𝚑 as a training sword. However, during one of their training battles, Zoro loses his eye. King makes it clear that he must always remain vigilant. His enemies will exploit such moments without hesitation. Kaido sees potential in Zoro. The Yonko trains him in the use of Haki. He wants to make Zoro one of his all-stars. But Zoro has different dreams. He wants to become the greatest swordsman in the world. Kaido and King only laugh at him, saying he will never be able to stand up to Mihawk. Even Kaido respects Mihawk's swordsmanship. Yet Zoro refuses to be discouraged by their words. In the Beast Pirates, Zoro spends most of his time training. He's like a lone wolf in the crew. Kaido even once offered him an ancient Zoan devil fruit, but Zoro declined. He'd rather be able to swim than rely on a devil fruit's power. From time to time he also trains with Yamato, Page 1 and Ulti, who are around his age. But he doesn't really form close friendships with them. He has little time for that. Friendship and loyalty don't seem to be very important in the Beast Pirates. Kaido apparently doesn't believe in these values. Zoro hears that Kaido was betrayed in his previous crew and therefore finds it hard to trust others. Although Zoro does not travel alongside Luffy and the others in this timeline, he still possesses a profound understanding of loyalty. That value is deeply ingrained in his character. Several years pass and Kaido learns from Big Mom that Goldie Roger's son is about to be executed at Marineford. Whitebeard will surely appear there to rescue his son. Kaido wants to use this opportunity to join the war himself, perhaps to finally face off against Whitebeard. It's been so long since he last saw that old geezer. Meanwhile, Zoro has risen to the rank of Tobiroppo within the crew. However, Shanks anticipated this and traveled to Onigashima as a precaution to stop Kaido. Shanks first tries to get Kaido drunk on sake, but in this timeline Zoro simply drinks it all himself. That leads to a dispute between Kaido and Zoro. After a brief clash, the two settle down because Zoro also wants to go to Marineford with Kaido. After all, Mihawk will be there, which is the perfect opportunity for Zoro to confront the world's strongest swordsman. Zoro could finally fulfill his dream. Kaido transforms into his dragon form and Zoro and Kaido climb onto his back to fly to Marineford. Shanks tries to stop them, but Kaido dodges Shanks' divine departure. The Red Eye Pirates then begin their pursuit. Unfortunately, it will take them a bit longer than Kaido to reach Marineford. By this point, the war at Marineford is already in full swing. Squardo has already stabbed Whitebeard and Luffy has already faced off against the admirals. Suddenly, an azure blue dragon appears on the battlefield, accompanied by a Lunarian and a green-haired swordsman. Sangok and Garp are shocked. Another emperor has joined the fray. Zoro immediately leaps into action and challenges Mihawk. The Warlord of the Sea blocks Zoro's attack. In this timeline, Zoro is of course much stronger than he was at the Baratie. He has already learned both armament and observation Haki. Kaido is even convinced that Zoro may possess the disposition of a king. That's why Mihawk doesn't fight Zoro with a mere dagger dagger here, but instead uses his black blade Yoru. With every sword strike, Zoro realizes that he and Mihawk are on entirely different levels. His desperation grows with each blow, but then his will strengthens. Zoro declares that he will one day become the strongest swordsman in the world and defeat Mihawk. At that moment, Zoro's conqueror's haki awakens, impressing both Mihawk and his captain. Kaido realizes he was right about Zoro's potential. Mihawk, visibly surprised, wonders who this young man is. With another powerful strike, he sends Zoro flying. But Mihawk makes it clear he will be waiting for him in the New World if Zoro wishes to face him again. The battle rages on. Meanwhile, Luffy manages to rescue Ace, but then Akainu appears and tries to kill them both. Seeing as he's already there, Zoro decides to try his luck against an admiral. He helps Ace fight Akainu, which works to Ace's advantage. But Zoro has overestimated himself. He's still too weak for the Magma Admiral. Kaido and King come to Zoro's aid and hold Akainu back. During this time, Ace is saved and Luffy also avoids being struck by Akainu. But suddenly, there's a... and Blackbeard appears on the battlefield with his new pirate crew. However, in this timeline, Whitebeard is not as weakened as in the original. He confronts Blackbeard, knocking the traitor down just like in the original timeline. But then the Blackbeard pirates try to shoot Whitebeard. Someone steps in front of the Emperor. It's Kaido, defending his former crewmate. Whitebeard once recruited Kaido into the Rocks Pirates, and Kaido owes him for that. With a Boro Breath, Kaido incinerates all of the Blackbeard pirates. Whitebeard is saved, and he and his crew manage to escape. Suddenly, Shanks and the Red Eye pirates also show up, just as in the original timeline, bringing the war to an end. By the way, if you like this video, feel free to like and subscribe to this channel. This would help me out a lot. Or like I would say in Balkan, hvala ti puno za subscribing ovaj kanal. Through the war at Marineford, Zoro has realized that he is still a frog in a well. He is nowhere near strong enough to face the world. Inside him, the desire to go on his own adventure and take on stronger opponents grows. Even though Zoro can't stand most of his crewmates, Zoro nonetheless faces an inner conflict. He can't just leave the crew and run off to pursue his own dreams. Over the next 2 years, Zoro trains rigorously. In the meantime, Kaido teaches him the advanced types of haki. Thus, Zoro learns advanced armament, advanced observation, and advanced conqueror's haki. To test this new strength, Zoro decides to visit an ally of the Beast Pirates. He travels to Dressrosa to participate in the Corrida Colosseum's tournament. This time, however, there's no Mera Mera no Mi to be won, since Ace is still alive. In this timeline, Luffy and the Stroids are nevertheless on the island. Interestingly, instead of Zoro, Luffy has recruited a different sword woman, namely Kuina. In this timeline, she didn't die from falling down the stairs. Just like Zoro in the original timeline, she was originally a pirate hunter, but then she joined Luffy to become the world's greatest swordswoman. And she also wants to hold Kaido accountable for killing her family. In this timeline, Kuina has already experienced the defeat at Mihawk's hands at the 𝙗𝚘𝚙, but then over the 2-year time skip, she was trained by Mihawk. She also tanked the pain from Luffy and the Thriller bark, so Kuina is as strong as Zoro would have been like in this part of the original timeline. In the Corrida Colosseum, not only Luffy but also Kuina takes part. In Block B, we get the first meeting between Zoro and Kuina in this timeline. However, they are not friends here. Zoro was raised by Kaido and he possesses her family's ale room. Kuina notices this immediately. She challenges Zoro to reclaim her sword. During that battle, Zoro learns the truth of his origin. Kuina tells him that King attacked a village in the East Blue almost 20 years ago to wipe out the male descendants of the 𝚘𝚙𝚒𝚘𝚗 clan. One male baby was spared and taken away, while the women were allowed to live. Kuina made it her mission to exact justice on Kaido and King for this murder. Zoro is visibly shaken. His entire life is a lie. He never thought to ask where he really came from or why he ended up on Onigashima. After all, his parents didn't live there. The people he'd been loyal to all this time actually kidnapped him. As the arc progresses, Zoro decides to help Luffy, Kuina and Law. After Doflamingo's defeat, Zoro joins the Straw Hats to oppose Kaido. Together with Law, the Minks of Zou and the Samurai of Wano, they form the Ninja Pirate Mink Samurai Alliance. However, the plan is for Zoro to remain undercover in the Beast Pirates. He rejects this idea because Kaido was once betrayed before, and Zoro will not lie to him. He intends to tell him directly that he's no longer part of the crew, but the others beg him to at least wait until the Fire Festival on Onigashima. Zoro's departure from the crew will be the signal to start the fight. A few weeks pass, and on the evening of the Fire Festival, Zoro returns to Onigashima. In the meantime, the Alliance has completed all their preparations. Zoro faces Kaido and King on the main stage. He confronts him with the truth, asking if King really kidnapped him from 𝚘𝚙𝚒𝚗𝚗𝚗 village almost 20 years ago. Without hesitation, King confirms it. Then then King deals Zoro a good dose of emotional damage, declaring that at least he fulfilled the dying wish of Zoro's father Arashi. He spared his son. Enraged, Zoro activates his advanced armament haki and strikes King with the Wado Ichimonji. This haki explosion serves as the trigger for the Alliance to launch their attack. Suddenly, Luffy's alliance storms onto the battlefield and everything falls into chaos. Just like in the original timeline, the Red Scabbards are the first to face Kaido and end up losing. The Supernovas then clash with Kaido and Big Mom. Zoro is among them. Kuina takes on the role Zoro played in the original timeline. Here both Zoro and Kuina get a chance to avenge their father's deaths by striking Kaido. They manage to leave him with a scar, but unfortunately they can't do much more. The war rages on. As it continues, Zoro fights King and succeeds in defeating him. This makes Zoro the King of Hell. After a brief death, Luffy awakens his devil fruit powers and also managed to defeat Kaido. Wano Kuni is freed and Kuina has accomplished a part of her goal. She has avenged her family's death. Zoro decides to continue traveling with the Straw Hats in order to challenge Mihawk, just like Kuina. Should they both manage to defeat Mihawk, they will have to fight each other to determine who is truly the world's strongest swordsman. The two of them then decide to hold a duel in Ringo. Feel free to comment who wins that duel in the end. But have you asked yourself what would happen if Luffy was born in a different timeline and raised by the Pirate King? How would their story play out if Luffy was raised by Roger? Find out in this video. Until next time, take care.